let's get right back into the action here. And there's no better world to be in than Cooper's. The mindset of the young champion coming right out of the globals. They've been off to a very hot start, picking up where they left off, and lovely to see them continuing to, you know, work hand in hand here, see what they can do here for this first major of the FNCS. Already on the move here, must have heard the reboot van go off Aaron. No, look, playing for the cachet though. Instead, what do you think, Taco?
I think Cooper and Miro are the last two people I would want to see challenging me for a cash claim. And it does look as though they've managed to successfully scare off the other duo that was contemplating going for this cash. That's a big swing of confidence if you're Cooper and Miro. I mean, it's not something that I would expect those two to ever lack, but something that is lacking right now for Chimp is having his teammate in general. Sire's gonna get picked off here, and Chimp forced to try and reposition himself. Could potentially be trying to make a play for the reboot card. I mean, it's definitely still early on enough that Chimp could certainly look for a gap here, but it all depends. I mean, fortunately for us, we're gonna get a second chance to look back at what went wrong there for Chimp and Cyrus, as well as what went so right here for Psycho and Parks. And
there it is.
It's just that simple, really. Nasty shots at the sniper.
Yeah, it's just a body tag too, right? 116 puts him down, so he was already very, very hurt, possibly engaged on right before that. So yeah, Chimp having a bit of a tough time in the mid games. We've seen him round after round, more or less not looking strong as he's been approaching these end games, and that's why we haven't seen him quite pull with the big victory royale. But he's had a fair amount of end games. This time it's going to be the first one for him to run it solo. For Victor and Blizzard, seen a fair amount of battles come out of them as well. It's managed to keep them in the conversation here. And this is the beauty of this type of format. Really get to see and focus in on tons of new players that you might be familiar with, that you might have seen in the past, like Golden, like Ozone. Again, no strangers to FNCS by any means, but for the first time, it's almost like you get to put a big spotlight to see what these teams are capable of. Right now, it's pretty good for Ozone and Golden. Like to see it at 3 eliminations here.
But see, at times, there could also be drawback, at least for some players in this style of format. Chimp, I'll touch more on it in a moment. Want to see if he can manage to evade Lugabolts just a little bit longer, but no, that's going to cut Chimp's lobby run short here. Lugabolts managing to find that collapse with Master Nappy there, and kind of to elaborate on what I was trying to say there, MDF, it's that with this format, if you are making it into the end games consistently, the big thing is to get end games with good placement. Because if you're just constantly tagging into these end games, but you're just fluctuating somewhere between 15th through 30th, you're really not collecting some of those placement points, and it might force you to be a little bit more dependent than on elimination counts. And I think that even for some of our experienced teams and players here, could potentially be struggling with the likes of just finding that consistency and placing because of the fact it's not set lobbies.
Yeah, definitely. It becomes a difficult task to make it past the mid games when there's so much you know, variation going round to round. Never really know who's on your path, who's at your draw spot, who's, you know, neighboring nearby, possibly forced out sooner than you would have expected, right? Those are the inconsistencies that are going to come game after game, and more importantly, the challenges that you're going to face as a player. Day and Redux taking their time here, but this spot they're putting themselves in is going to be a world of trouble. It's below Miro and Cooper, so should they decide they want to get Fritzy, because they can, might be the first team that they get jumped on there. Meanwhile, on high ground, another Bolts here. It's Zooks at 16th place so far, so looking pretty good for Usain Bolts and Zooks here. We like it. 211 points. Very much in the conversation, very much in the game right now. A big round here, put him in the top 10, Sako.
And top 10 is definitely a pretty favorable spot to be as far as just making sure that other teams will take notice of who you are. Because again, with 250 duos having qual to be in this contention for our first week of competition, MDF. That's no easy feat by any means. But more importantly, again, for these players that are really just trying to cement themselves as like true competitive contenders, you know, you've got like the T1s and the T2s. I think a good amount of our T1 pros would definitely kind of be given, you know, a little bit of a side eye to some of these newcomers. And that's really where it comes down to. You might not have the same level of experience, but a lot of these players got here just from trusting their own instincts and just taking some gutsier calls that just happen to pan out for them, because not everybody expects you to just go for a heavy risk versus reward play.
Well, we'll see how it plays out here. It's all risk versus reward here, but right now we've tuned in just early enough that we can see teams taking it nice and easy, holding down the fort, holding down the positions here, waiting for the time to pass by. Look at the map there. It's just showing everyone on the move here. So this is a much lighter lobby as well, as this lobby's been keyed down pretty aggressively, it seems. But look at even Skay and Walty here don't want to make a move just yet. They see there's a team next to it.
Same can't be said though. Day, Redux, under just a little bit too much pressure here, and Redux gonna do what he can. It's gonna be Dorito, actually, with his duo Belmar, looking to try and chase down Redux. Redux not even gonna get an opportunity to utilize that medkit the way he would have liked, hoping to find that max hammer pump fire shot, but don't know if he's gonna be able to collect it just yet. Just Belmar with so much of a health advantage, just looking to try and chase down Redux entirely. And that's just so unfortunate there. Redux will finally find an opportunity to utilize that med kit, but it won't mean much, Monster, if he's gonna have to try and play out the rest of this lobby as a solo. Don't think he's gonna be able to even find enough time to try and get Day with his reboot card to even look for that sort of duo comeback opportunity. And again, this might be one of those instances too, when you think about the lobby count as well and all the different rounds that are taking place here, MDF. Redux as a solo, he could potentially look to just maybe go next, see if he can catch a final lobby that might be taking place.
Yeah, you know, and it just makes you wonder, right? What went wrong? I called it. I'm like, yo, parking underneath Cooper Muriel is, little do you know, a little bit dangerous. Even if they just decide to turn and you know, laser the boxes, right? They were just out there positioned so openly. They broke the tree. That was the one little bit of cover that could have, you know, gave them some privacy down in that little, you know, crevice by the mountain. But here we are, back with Cooper, back with Mr. Auto only, trying to see what kind of action they can get themselves involved in. Right on the edge zone here, playing it on the low side. Not necessarily the most favorable spot to be in, as this is a very steep mountain to the north there. But all in all, they're still in the top 50, very comfortably on the leaderboard here. So while they may not be playing as insanely or as consistently as we've seen from the Rituals, Acorn, and Colds, but they're in the combo. They're in the game right here. One win can change everything for them. Here's Goggins and Shaner now on a little bit more of that similar situation here, right in the center of the conversation.
Yeah, a team that we haven't really had much chance to get focus on, but watching them now, just boxed up like you would expect most teams to be at this point of the match. Big box fights though taking place north of the hillside, and just like that, Chiffin and his duo immediately eliminated. So many teams just stuck in a little bit of the zone congestion here on the edge. Walrus, Wahrheitt, a lot of materials kind of falling to the wayside. You can see that immediate materials refresh there for Wahrheitt. Definitely got to be feeling pretty happy about that one, and they've certainly been duking it out to have those 4 eliminations and kind of just reaping the benefits of that aggression.
See it though, we jump back in with Victor and Blizzard here. Looking pretty clean so far in this game here. But the material does seem to be cut in half from right about where they want to be at, but the ammo count looking good. Heals looking pretty solid. Zone's right in front of him, so plenty to play for. Cooper gets punished there for opening up the edit, and now it's up to Miro here. Save should be possible, because he does have plenty of metal to work with. Yep, there it is. Gotta be careful, though.
Still tough, though, because now, again, just valuable heals and resources having to be expended there for Cooper, having been punished for trying to find some damage or even a knock or possible elimination there. But at the same time, it is Miro, it is Cooper, so I could definitely expect a 180 at any given moment whenever this duo is essentially in the playing field here. It's going to be a move forward now. Miro ready to not waste any more time. Gets around this tree, drops to the low ground, immediately boxes up, and might have a good chance now to maybe catch some teams off guard if they're able to tarp out far enough, but it does seem as though they're wary about some of those teams that might be on the hillside behind them.
Usain Bolt's shots coming in here. He's got to play defensively. Didn't even get the full heal off, and instead he's going to go for the double heal. Meanwhile, on high ground, the second time we've seen Dorito and Belmar try to play for high ground, so we're seeing a little bit of consistency come out of this team. I can respect that. They weren't successful the last time they were up here, but this time they do have 5 eliminations and a pretty decent stronghold, so we could be seeing the development of a new team that wants to be one of those teams recognized for their high ground positioning, their high ground attempts. It's always an exciting type of play style in finals lobbies. Give it a second though. Team below them. It's Pars. He gets pushed back. Now Belmar and Dorito have a little bit of room to work with. This is going right off the cliff though.
This is
plenty of space there. Gotta be careful.
Another pretty crazy tarp out though from Belmar and Dorito. They were just trying to make a full extension up on that high ground. And whether or not they'll be challenged remains to be questioned, but these teams are kind of stuck in these secondary height mid-ground layers. Seem to be the most oppressed right now. Because Belmar and Dorito, you can see those shots raining down from above here onto Swag the Goon's box. Usain Bolt though, unsuccessful grapple blade, trying to get the mantle, I think, to try and challenge in that box, but instead, we'll look to just continue seeing if he can try and push forward in these mid-ground layers. Some decent connections onto Neko Bolts, and that's going to be Usain Bolt's sign to just go. He needs to keep pressing forward, stay moving alongside with the zones, but now with the damage threshold coming in, potentially being saved by other teams getting elimed, just that immediate surge upwards in that damage threshold.
That's right, numbers are going to jump here. Golden left as a solo right now. Look at all the HP bars cut in half. The surge has done its work. The storm's done its work. This weird terrain making it difficult. This is going to be a pretty ridiculous end game right now. 27 players still alive right here. Miro and Cooper back in the running here for elims and have a chance for some end game placement points if they just can stay alive a little longer. They do have a little bit more mats to work with than most of the lobby. High ground has had their fair share of troubles as well as it changes hands. Wahrheitt and Epikwalrus coming in. The inspiration there is laughable, but see here, he's gonna jump on down, and yep, they're gonna continue to maintain this position here.
Height though still being a little bit juggled back and forth, I would say, but might have finally been truly established there by Epikwalrus, and Wahrheitt is now not only from below, Cooper as well, striking through different player floors just when they least suspect it. You've got to stay really aware at this point, and it's just so difficult though when the edits are constantly being broken all around you, floors being placed every which way alongside of walls. It's really easy to lose track of who's where, and that's where I think a lot of experience comes through for Miro specifically. He's doing such a great job at leading Cooper through some of this mid-ground, but the zone is so unforgiving right now for Shaner. The way that it's pulling back over this elevation, just merciless to all these teams that were caught in the mid and low ground layers. They're having so much difficulty with just trying to get back towards that elevation.
Well, let's watch it here. Cooper is now by himself, so picked up. Now left to fend for it. It's Miro completely out, and no, he falls. No points picked up in the process either, but it is still a top 5 solidified there. Now we move into it. Walrus trying to make a name for himself here, see what he can do. Heals are going to come out. It's going to set him up for success. He does have 3 floppers, so... Oh, no, he falls with them. No, this is a problem here. So you can see a little bit of that inexperience coming in, and doesn't matter, though. They do end up closing out as they close out strong there and hit the shots when it does matter. So GG's for them, taking a big win.
Yeah, excellent challenge for Height up against Belmar and his duo Dorito, and it just did not pan out for Belmar and Dorito the way they were hoping. But for Wahrheitt and Epikwalrus, I mean, again, it's just players that you might not necessarily anticipate to look for those high ground challenges. I think they did a really good job at just effectively keeping those lower layers so punished, so restricted in their movements until they decided it was a good time to drop to just look for the cleanup components.
Well, there you have it. It's all said and done. Epikwalrus and Wahrheitt take a win, and that's a first for them here on the main stage. Zeke, what you got for me?